This PRIM grip has silica in it, and it's very, very gritty. Very, very gritty. I have in the past, when I've used it, tried to scrape it off with a razor, well, not a razor knife, with a putty knife, and I cannot scrape it off. It just embeds itself, and even more so in this tile. So let me talk about something. See the backer board in here? There's thin set under the backer board onto 3/4 inch ply. So 3/4 inch ply, glued and screwed, and then tile on top of it. This sunroom was done I think my customer said 22, either 22 or 25 years ago. And as I go through, as I started on this 12 by 12, 13 by 13 standard ceramic tile is what we did back in the day. 25 years ago would be about right for this type of tile. It's also got a texture on it, on the surface of it, like a terracotta type tile. And so 20 years later, there's no deflection of the floor. There's no cracks of even the grout line, let alone the tile. So there's no cracks, there's no deflection, there's no grout popping up or anything like that. So I know that this floor is solid as a rock, which is why I have no issue at all putting tile over tile. So if you're gonna do tile over tile, make sure that you're able to ascertain the sturdiness of the floor that you're tiling on top of, because you don't want, the tile is not gonna pop up. So none of this tile is gonna pop up. But there could be some cracking of grout line, cracking of tile, that transfer up. If that's going to transfer up, it would have already, the only way it could transfer up is if there was some type of, if I came in here and I saw 4 or 5 or even 1 or 2 tile that were cracked, then I would know that there's a possible problem with the subfloor, is what I'm getting at. Long-winded way of saying, make sure that your floor is sturdy enough to, you know, compensate for another layer of tile. And also, because this is heavy, everybody's like, oh, you're adding all this weight. It's spread over the area, just like this current floor is spread over an area. So there's no one area that's getting that's going to get all this weight. It doesn't work that way. Physics does not work that way. The transition. So I had a wood T-strip that used to be here. Took that wood T-strip off, and you can tell where they had stained this wood floor, right? And then I have this marble transition strip, which is in good shape, but we're just going to bypass that. This is what I call an airplane wing, and you could get, they have a Schluter aluminum piece that has this little taper on it also, and I gave that option to my customer, and they decided they wanted wood. So it actually has a little groove up under there, so the tile is going to set right on, the transition strip is going to set right on the beginning tile groove, right? So it just overlaps right on top, which is beautiful. So that's the way that we're going to transition, right? So just that overlap just hides it. And there's going to be a little bit of rise by the time I get thin set on here and everything. There's going to be a little bit of rise, but the inside of here is now flat. So the rise on here will probably be less than, probably about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little less than that. So that's one way. There are different ways to skin that cat. You could do it any way you want to, but this is what my customer chose, so that's what I'm doing. And I don't know if it's going to run this way, the tile is going to run that way or this way. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to get started on this. Not a whole lot to say about this, but I did want to talk about PRIM grip as an option to tile over tile, made by Mapai. And it's an awesome product. I have used it I think three times in 20 years. And all 3 of those times it was an appropriate application for what I was doing. And this is a very appropriate application for what I'm doing. So yeah, there's that. And that's about it. That's all I have to say. This is going to be a straight pattern. There's not going to be stagger 50% or a third or whatever. Same as I did upstairs in the shower or in the bathroom upstairs. All right, the PRIM grip makes it possible to tile over tile, and I don't suggest it unless your floor can stand, it's not the weight you're concerned about, but it's the deflection. And if you see the tile that was here before, there's no cracks in the tile. Tile have been here for over 20 years. There's no cracks in the grout. There's no deflection of the floor whatsoever. Very sturdy floor. And then the tile on top of it, plus the backer board that was below it. So it's a very sturdy surface that I was able to tile over. And it looks very nice because it's all kind of monolithic, more or less. You know, the other tile is broken up a lot, broken up with 3/4 grout lines. There were 1/2 inch grout lines at least. You know, usually we were doing 1/4 back in the day. So yeah, you can tile over tile, but it's very specific to the job. I've tiled over tile, I think, 4 times ever. And I think the first couple times, Prim Grip didn't exist. And the last few times it does exist, and that makes it much easier to tile on top of tile. Also, transition. The transition here is about, I think it's not even quite half an inch with the tile and the thin set. And so I made the thin set a little thinner at the beginning. There was already a T-mold on here to begin with, the transition from the tile that existed already. So the rise that I had here is probably a quarter, maybe a little bit less than a quarter that was here to begin with, and then I bumped it up by about another 3/8 to a good part of 3/8 to maybe a little bit higher. And so this is what I call an airplane wing. They sell them at Home Depot, and it's a transition that literally overlaps onto the tile. And so there's no trip hazard. And there were choices here also. It could have been a Schluter strip. They have a tapered Schluter strip that would fit in here as well. Little bead there, little bead there, all 4 corners, because that's where all the cardboard comes together. Gonna get a little dab, and I'll spread that out. I did an experiment a while back, about a year ago or so. I did an experiment with different waterproofers. I think I used 4 of them. And in that case, with the cardboard box that I used, there were so many places where it would have taken too many coats of those waterproofers. It would have taken 4 or 5 coats to remediate that. This is glued very, very well. I like these flaps that are glued well, so I'm not going to bother with those. But these corners are obvious holes that have easily water could escape out of. So that's why I'm doing this. But that's it. That's all I'm doing. And the rest of it, all the flaps and all that stuff, whoops, I missed the third one. The rest of it, all these flaps and everything are just gonna get 2 coats of the Prim Grip, and I'll let that dry for about an hour or so. And then I'll put 2 coats of the Prim Grip inside of there. I'll probably go about halfway up, and then I'll fill it with water and let it sit around and see what happens. Because I'm curious, you know, like I wouldn't use this as a waterproofer, but I don't want to be redundant. If I'm trying to use something that I can tile to and I need a waterproofer, you know, then I want an option if this is truly waterproof to be able to do that. I wouldn't do it on a whole shower or a shower floor necessarily, but you know, I just want to know what I don't know, and then you'll know. All right, so 2 coats are inside of this box. I'm gonna add some water, and I am going to fill this up. Probably I could stop now. Yeah, this will be interesting. I believe it's waterproof. That's my take on it. I do believe it's waterproof. So I'm gonna let this set the rest of the day, which for me is about 5 hours from now. I don't see any bubbles coming up, so I already know right off the bat it's waterproof, but I'm just gonna leave it for kicks and giggles. So it is 1:30-ish right now, and I leave out of here about 6:37. So about 5-6 hours later. And I believe it's gonna freeze tonight, so I might move it off to the side, and then tomorrow see if this is one big ice cube. It'll be fun. It is 4 days later. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. The only thing that happened, I think I started the water right here and it went down, evaporation. So yeah. Definitively, Prim Grip is waterproof, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's good to know. If there's any reason you need to know that, now you know. A couple coats of Prim Grip onto a shower floor, for example, will get you a nice nice grip for your tile, but then again, your mortar is just doing the same thing. I don't know what purpose it would be to know that this stuff is waterproof, but it definitely is. Hey, if you enjoyed that video, for your support.